All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to class. I decided that since I have four classes all doing the same thing, that we should go ahead and just do a video, and y'all can watch this sometime before we have class on Friday, because I will expect that you know this material by Friday. But let's go ahead and continue on. We're finishing up demand today and going to start supply. So all right, I'm just making sure everything's working. So we did change in money income and change in the prices of related goods. Those were both very complicated in class on Monday. So today we're going to look at the other three. I'm not going to graph because we've already graphed increases and decreases in demand. Changes in consumer expectations about the future. If we expect that something's going to happen in the future that's going to increase, say, the prices of the goods that we plan to buy, or change our income in the future, that might change our behavior today. So, for example, if we think that the price of cars are going to increase by summer, and we are planning to buy a car before the summer, we might go ahead and buy that car now rather than wait before until the prices increase. Or, for example, if you know you're expected to graduate soon and that you're going to get that nice big fat salary from being a Baylor graduate, then you may go ahead and start spending a little money that you don't have today in anticipation of that increase in income tomorrow. So those are some things that can shift demand today that might affect because you think something's going to happen tomorrow. The next one is the change in the number or composition of consumers. And so if we expect to have more consumers or we have more consumers, we're going to have higher demand for all products. So, for example, if we have an increase in immigration, or which we're having right now, or if we have a decrease in birth rates, which we're having right now, then we can expect that that might affect demand and consumption. Also, demographic characteristics affect demand. For example, for the longest time, products were being created and marketed towards the baby boomer generation. And so we were starting to see commercials and products all aimed at the baby boomers. Now the baby boomers are getting older. We're still seeing products aimed at them, but also seeing a lot of products aimed at you guys, the millennials and the Gen Zs. And so that matters. Here in Texas, we go to the grocery store, and the demand for Mexican food products are going to be very, very high. I will tell y'all, when I lived in West Virginia, decided I wanted to make some Mexican food. I, grew up in Louisiana and Texas, and so, Mexican food was something that we were used to having on a regular basis. And there was one tiny little section in the grocery store for those products, just not very big. And so, sorry about this, I'm messing with my camera a little bit. And so, because there weren't people there who were familiar with the products the way we are here, there wasn't the demographic. We didn't have Hispanics, so we didn't have that whole Hispanic connection that we have in Texas. And so we just didn't have the products. So those demographic characteristics, age, race, sex, ethnicity, those all matter as well. Right, and the last one are changes in consumer taste. We don't like this one as economists. We like to think that once you have a taste for a product, you always have a taste for that product. If you like chocolate today, you like chocolate tomorrow, and you'll like chocolate next year. But sometimes taste on a kind of national level do change. For example, we have seen that we have seen a big no carb or low carb craze in our society. And so we've seen a lot more products designed for a low carb lifestyle. And that's affected the demand for products that do have carbohydrates in them. For example, orange juice sales have decreased by almost half as a result of these low carb crazes. And so it's greatly affected the Orange Juice Growers Association. And so that's something that we've seen in our recently that's kind of a economy-wide change in tastes. All right, that is it for demand. We're going to now talk about supply, and then the next step will be putting supply and demand together. But let's go ahead and talk about supply for a few minutes. Supply represents how much of a good producers are, again, willing and able to sell in a given period, given different prices and holding everything else constant. So again, the only thing we're allowing to change are the prices of the goods, and we're looking at how much the suppliers are willing and able to sell. And so willing and able has a specific meaning, again, like it did with demand. Willing means that they are willing to produce and put that product on the market. Able sometimes means that whether or not they can make a profit with the product. For example, in Louisiana and Texas, when the price of a barrel of oil gets too low, our cost of producing that barrel are higher than the price we can sell it for. So we can't profitably produce oil at certain prices per barrel. But if the prices per barrel start to rise, then we do see that it becomes profitable to produce that oil. And now firms in Texas and Louisiana are able to produce the oil and sell it profitably. Okay. So let's go ahead. Again, we have a law of supply. And this one says that prices and quantity supplied are directly related. So as prices go up, firms are willing and able to provide more and more of the product. So as prices go up, quantity supplied by the firms goes up. And as prices go down, firms are less and less willing to supply that product. So quantity supplied will go down. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking of supply. You've got to put yourself in that mindset of I'm a firm now. Think like a firm does, not like a consumer does. All right, so we've already answered this. Higher prices, firms are willing to make more because they're going to make more profit, and they're able to produce more. This law of increasing opportunity cost of production rise as we produce more and more. And so the price has to go up enough to make us able to make profit. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my document camera. Let's see, got to get out of that. Go over to my document camera. So we're going to look at a supply schedule. I'm going to do the individual supply for different firms and have a market supply. It's the same thing we did. Oops, my computer fell over. It's the same thing we did with demand, but you would have individual firms and their quantity supplied at the different prices, and then add it all up through horizontal summation to get to a market. But we're not going to go through that, but we're going to continue to look at the pizza market here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at our prices per slice. $1, $2, $3, $4. So our same market information. And this time we're going to look at our quantity supplied by the market. And our numbers here, let me put some lines. Numbers here, at $1, the firms will supply 5 slices of pizza, 7 for $2, 9 slices for $3 a slice, and 11. So we see that direct relationship as prices rise, quantity supplied rises. All right, so that's all our market. This is a supply schedule. Just a table that shows the relationship between price and the quantity supplied. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph our supply curve. I will go ahead and plot points on this one as I did on those ones on Monday. So again, we've got quantity on that axis, price on the vertical axis. We've got our prices of $1, $2, $3, $4. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Up to 11, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so if the price is $1, quantity supplied will be 5. The price is $2, quantity supplied will be 7. The price is $3, quantity supplied will be 9. And if the price is $4, it will be 11. This should be nice and linear. We're close. And then I'm going to put in S for supply. All right, so your supply curve should always be upward sloping, reflecting that law of supply. Again, showing that as prices go up, quantity goes up, or as prices go down, quantity goes down. So we're seeing the law of supply reflected quite nicely here. Again, this entire curve represents supply. And when we're looking at this, as we go from, as the price of our good, in this case pizza, changes, we're going to use deltas for changes. It's from calculus, you should remember that. As the price of our good changes, our pizza prices change. Then we will move along the supply curve. Move along that existing supply curve to a change in quantity supplied. Change in quantity supplied, not a change in supply. A change in supply means this whole relationship changes, which causes a shift of the supply curve. Instead, a change in the price of our good, our pizza here, will cause us to move along the demand curve. Price is how we formed this picture. The price of the pizza is part of the picture. And so when it changes, we just move along our existing curve. And if something external to the picture changes, those things we held ceteris paribus, then we have a shift in the supply curve. So that's what we're going to do next, is we are going to be looking at our shifters of supply. And we have 5 here. I typically tend to add a 6th when I'm talking about this, changes in technology. changes in the prices of relevant resources, changes in the prices of alternative goods, a number of producers, producer expectations, and we're going to add weather. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start looking at these shifters of supply. And go back to the document camera. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and this is a change in supply for the shifters of supply. All right, so we're going to start with our first one, the changes in technology. All right, so let's go ahead and look at an example here. Let's see. I'm going to look at a market. I'm going to draw our graph here. Okay, and we're going to put in a supply curve. We're going to ask, and let's say that this is the market for corn. And we're going to have a change in that technology in our corn that we have. I've got an idea, it's an ancient one, but let's just talk about developing the idea of crop rotation. Crop rotation, for those of you who don't know, is where we will grow different crops at different times on the same land so that we don't deplete the minerals for specific crops at one time. It was a big innovation in farming because the leftovers after harvesting that are ground back into the soil then can renew the soil for a different kind of crop. And so crop rotation was a big deal when it came out. So that'll be our change in technology. And so if we're developing this crop rotation, it should increase our yields of our agricultural products. So we're going to say that this is a change in technology, because you've always got to explain what your answer is, okay? And that is going to cause an increase in our supply. Now this is going to look strange, but an increase in supply, I'm going to put a 1 here to show that's our starting point. An increase in supply in this case is actually also a shift to the right. So that is an increase in supply. And the way you prove this to yourself is you pick a price, any price, and we can see that our quantity has gone up on the new supply. So I know it looks like it's shifting down, but that's actually an increase in supply. So both supply and demand shift to the right when they're increasing. That's probably going to be the thing that's going to trip you up the most, is you're going to go quickly through the test and you're going to say an increase in supply and shift it the wrong way. So please practice these. Please think about what you're doing and don't do that, because this is definitely an increase in supply. All right, so our next shifter of supply is a change in the price of a relevant resource. A relevant resource is any resource you use to make your product. Okay, that's all it is. Any resource you use to make your product. So if we're talking about t-shirts, it could be a change in the price of cotton or material. If we're talking about pizzas, it could be a change in the price of tomatoes or pepperoni. So any resource you need to make your product, if that resource price changes, it will affect the supply of your product. Now, the most important resource of all is labor. Labor accounts for 70% of production costs in the United States. So anytime I tell you that wages change, remember you're thinking from the perspective of the firm. So if I tell you, the pizza making union went on strike and got higher wages, then that means they're having to pay their workers more to make the pizza. And so typically when those costs go up, the firms tend to produce less. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at our pizza market. And we're going to have an increase in the price of tomatoes. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on in that tomato market, but we've got an increase in the price. So here's our initial supply of pizzas. And now, as a result of these more expensive tomatoes, firms are going to produce less pizza and probably have to charge more for that pizza. And so we're going to see, so this is an increase in the price of a resource. And so we're going to see a decrease in the supply of pizza. And our supply goes down. All right, so I always say, I call this a decrease in supply, or I say supply went down, but it looks like it's shifting up again. So again, I just want y'all to be careful, pick a price and notice that at that price, quantity has definitely gone down. So this is a decrease in supply or a shift to the left. So both supply and demand, left for decrease, right for increase. Okay. All right, our next one is a change in the price of alternative goods. Alternative goods are any goods you can make with the resources we are already using for our product. Okay. So if I were to say our product was t-shirts again, then we know that for t-shirts, we're using material, we're using sewing machines, and we're using people who can sew. So anything else that we could make with material, sewing machines, and people who can sew would be an alternative good to our t-shirts. So we could make flannel sheets, we could make curtains, we could make athletic shorts, we could make bedspreads, we could make dresses, we could make all sorts of goods. We could make doll clothes, all sorts of alternative goods with our resources that we are currently using to make our t-shirts. Okay, so that's what an alternative good is. Now this one, I'm going to go ahead and draw two markets. So we are in the t-shirt business. We're going to go ahead and use that one. So I'm going to draw that market right here. That's going to be what we do. Snickers is here visiting. Let me see if I can get. Hey, Snicks. What you doing, girl? Oh, I can't get it to come up. There she is. Anyway, since y'all heard about her yesterday. It's kind of dark in my room here. All right. So let's go ahead and draw our upward sloping supply curve for t-shirts. And we're going to have our alternative good. My drawings aren't the best today. I'm going to put that a 1 there. I'm going to try to make this one look a little bit different because different prices, different goods, different demand curves. So I drew this one a little bit higher. We're going to say that this is the market for sheets. Okay. And so we're talking about a change in the price of an alternative good. So we're going to say that we have an increase in the price of sheets. Again, we do not know why, because we don't have both supply and demand here. We don't have an explanation. We don't know why the price of sheets goes up. But if the price of sheets goes up, remember, all that means is that we're going from one quantity supplied on the supply curve to a new quantity supplied on the supply curve. Okay, so the existing firms the existing sheet firms will increase quantity supplied. But you know what else will happen? We're sitting there in our t-shirt factory. We're right next door to our friend who owns the sheet factory, and we're watching them make more money than us because their prices have gone up. And we're sitting here with the material and the sewing machines and the people who can sew, and we could make sheets just as easily as they could make sheets. And we're watching them pull in more money than us. So that is going to drive us to want to exit the t-shirt industry and enter the sheet industry. So I'm going to say the increased prices of sheets, I'll use the word entices the t-shirt makers to switch over to sheets. Okay, which means we're going to decrease our supply of t-shirts okay, so fewer t-shirts. So we're shifting to the left up there. And what's going to happen over here now? If we're switching, so the first thing that happened was the price went up right here, right? Then the second thing that happened was these people left this industry and they entered this industry. So now our entry into the sheet market increases supply of sheets. So a lot going on with this one. We're seeing exit of this industry, which decreases the supply, entry into this market, which increases supply. All right, and that brings us to our next shifter of supply, which is the change in number of firms. That's exactly what we just did. We decreased the number of firms in this industry and supply decreased, shifted to the left, and we increased the number of firms in this industry and supply increased it or shift to the right. So that was our next one, was the number of firms. Number 5 is a change in producer expectations about the future. So in this case, again, it's very similar to consumer expectations. If firms know, for example, that next year they're going to put a luxury tax on fishing boats, well, then firms are going to want to try to sell as many fishing boats now before that tax goes into effect next year. Now, here's the problem. I don't like to give like short answer problems that have changes in expectations, because if the producers expect that the tax will increase the price in the future, they'll want to supply more boats today and sell the boats today, but so will the consumers. They'll know the tax is coming and they'll want to go ahead and buy more boats. So both supply and demand usually shift when expectations change. And so I don't like to have a lot of problems where both supply and demand are shifting. And so I tend to not use that as short answer problems. All right, and the last one I told y'all to think about was the change in weather. Well, what if the price of these tomatoes went up because there was a drought? So the weather caused a shortage of tomatoes and caused the prices of the tomatoes to go up. Or for example, when we have hurricanes that come in the Gulf, we have all those oil refineries along the Gulf shore here in Texas and Louisiana. And so hurricanes can disrupt those oil refineries. And then we have a shortage of oil and cause the prices of or cause supplies of oil and refined gas to go down. And so those prices go up. So weather can be really important. It affects a lot of different markets. Right now, we have all this stuff shut down because of this sleety, yucky, icy weather. So weather can be a really important factor in supply and that kind of thing. All right, so those are all of our supply factors. I still have a few more minutes, so I think I'm going to go ahead and go into the beginning of the market. So let's go back here. All right. All right, so we've said before, the market is any set of arrangements where we get buyers and sellers together so that they can exchange a good or a service. And the reason markets are so wonderful is they reduce our transaction costs. I don't want to have to go find which farmer's selling asparagus today because I want asparagus for dinner and then go find their farm and buy their asparagus. I'd rather go to HEB, the market, and buy any farmer's asparagus. I don't care which one it is that I can easily get to and identify. So that's a transaction cost, and these are reduced by having the market. Instead of me finding the farmer, me and the farmer having a haggle over the price of the asparagus, I just go to HEB and I buy it at the market price. The market price is determined by the interaction of supply and demand. All right, so I'm going to go back to my document camera. Oops, going the wrong way. Back to small. Okay. All right, so we've done pizza, quantity demanded and quantity supplied. So now we're going to put them together in our pizza market schedule. So we have price per slice. We have our quantity demanded in that market, and we have our quantity supplied that we just looked at. And so at our different prices, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And the quantity supplied, we have our numbers here. All right. So here's what we're looking at. Let's start at the price of $4 a slice of pizza. At $4 a slice, we want to buy 11 slices of pizza, and firms want to sell us 11. So they're going to have made 11 slices of pizza, have them sitting under the warming ovens, and we're going to come in and we're going to buy 2. Okay. And so when quantity supplied exceeds quantity demanded, we call that a surplus. And in this case, we have a surplus of 9 slices of pizza. Okay. If we look at $3 a slice, we want to buy 4 slices. They've prepared 9 slices to sell us. So again, quantity supplied is exceeding quantity demanded. And so again, we still have a surplus. Not as bad because the price is lower. Now we have a surplus of 5. We're skip $2 and we'll go down to $1. At $1, we want to buy a lot of pizza. We want to buy 10 slices. They only want to sell us 5 slices. And so demand exceeds supply at our price of $1. And we call that a shortage. In this case, it's a shortage of 5 slices of pizza. But then we get to this lovely place at $2 a slice where we want to buy 7 slices of pizza. They're going to make us 7 slices of pizza. We call that market clearing because all the pizza that we want to buy and all the pizza they want to sell is gone. And so we call that our magical equilibrium right here. Okay. And so that's what we're looking for is equilibrium. And so if I were to draw our pizza market, this is where we're putting supply and demand together. And now that we've put it together, it always goes together. Okay. So here where supply and demand are equal, that's going to be at $2 a slice. And we have our market clearing output of $7 a slice. And so everybody who wants a piece of pizza can have a piece of pizza. Up here, say at our $4 a slice, Here is our quantity supplied is only 2. And here our quantity, or no, our quantity demanded, sorry. And our quantity supplied is 11. So this distance between these two, or this distance between 2 and 11, that distance, this is our showing our surplus. So surpluses are always when supply exceeds demand at that price. So they're going to be above. And if we have a shortage, I'm not going to try to draw it on the same graph because I'll never be able to make the numbers work. Say at the price of $1 down here, at $1, our quantity supplied, that's right here, because we're getting it off of the supply curve, would be 5. Our quantity demanded is 10. There's our shortage. Okay. We call shortages are also called excess demand, and surpluses are excess supply. Okay. Now, when we have a surplus like this, so we have a bunch of extra product sitting around, okay, the Gap orders way too many winter sweaters this year, and they've got a whole bunch of sweaters sitting on the shelves at the Gap. What are they going to do? They're going to put them on sale. Okay, so when we have a surplus or excess supply, the pressure is on the price to fall. If this pizza restaurant's sitting there with 9 pieces of pizza going bad under a heat lamp, they're going to lower the price to try to sell those pieces of pizza. Okay, so the pressure is going to be here, pushing that price towards equilibrium. And if we're down here where we have a shortage or excess demand, well, what actually happens, think about, we did the concert ticket market. Taylor Swift, there was a shortage of Taylor Swift tickets for her concert. So what happened? People bid up the price. They are willing to pay more than the face value of the tickets in order to get into the Taylor Swift concert. And so when we have a shortage, there is pressure on the price to rise. Just like the price of those Taylor Swift tickets. Okay. All right. I think we'll stop here, and we will start shifting supply and or demand when we see each other again in class on Friday. I hope y'all are staying warm. I hope you're staying safe. Stay off the roads. There's no reason to go out. Be very safe and very careful. And I look forward to seeing y'all in class next time. All right, where's my... There we go. All right, y'all have a great day.